What's going on, guys? This is Ryan with RK Outpost, and as some of you guys probably know, I live down here in Southern California, fairly close to a lot of theme parks, including Disneyland. Now, luckily, I've only been dragged there, I think, one time in the past 3 or so years I've lived there, so I haven't had to endure too much of it. I'm not a big theme park guy, just to be honest. But Star Wars Galaxy's Edge has opened up since I have been here. I really have no interest in going. However, talking about it is obviously fairly interesting because it involves Star Wars and the Star Wars IP and how much people are still interested in it. Now, when they originally opened Galaxy's Edge here at Disneyland, they excluded any annual park or any annual pass holders from going. Any of the people that are local, they basically said you can't go. And the opening was very tame, shall we say. It wasn't a whole lot of people there. It was not the crowds they expected. It had people really worried for the future of Galaxy's Edge. Well, Rise of the Resistance, the new Star Wars ride that has had a lot of issues mechanically over and with boarding passes and things like that over in Disney World. If you want to learn more about that, go check out Drunk 3PO. He covers so much stuff with theme parks and rides and all that. He's totally got all the inside details. However, opened up and there were tons of people waiting. Look at these crowds. Thousands of Star Wars fans rise early to ride Rise of the Resistance at Disneyland. Star Wars fans rose early to be the first to ride the highly anticipated new Rise of the Resistance. Thousands of fans lined up as early as midnight, so 8 hours before it opened, for the opening of the Star Wars trackless dark ride at Anaheim Theme Park. All of the boarding group passes for the entire day were distributed within 6 minutes, according to Disneyland guest relations. And we will get into exactly why all these people that got there that early just wasted their time for no reason, because there's a failure to communicate, maybe. Or maybe they just didn't do their research before they went to the park. I'm not sure. Jeff Dewitz arrived just after midnight to join 25 other people waiting in line. "I'm a giant Star Wars fan," he says. "I'd wait 8 hours to ride this. I don't care how long it takes." Well, we don't actually know if he was able to get there, even though he got there, or that he was actually able to ride it, even though he got there that early. At 8 a.m., the virtual queue on the Disneyland app opened to allow fans a chance to nab digital boarding passes to ride Rise of the Resistance later in the day. Groups were numbered up to 160, with those number 82 and higher being on standby status. And we'll get into all the stuff about it, breaking down everything. However, this is where the trouble comes in, right? Today marks the epic grand opening of Star Wars Rise of the Resistance. However, in the day and age of the boarding group, opening day procedures have come as a shock to many guests who are new to the access system. Guests have been lined up since midnight, enduring rain and inclement weather while waiting outside. Guests were first scanned in before 6 a.m., but they were made to wait in holding areas throughout the park until 8 a.m. When 8 a.m. came around, issues with the Disneyland app led to many users getting kicked out. So probably what happened was just a mass of people trying to log into it at the same time. We've all been part of that. If you've ever been if you've ever been trying to get tickets for a big opening of something, or sometimes even when there's just a lot of people in the same place at a baseball game or something like that, you have issues kind of loading things up. Many users got kicked out of the app when they attempted to secure a boarding group. By the time they reopened it, most of the boarding groups were gone. In fact, boarding groups were gone in a record 45 seconds, with backup boarding groups going into effect at the 45-second mark. Now, there are so many people here, and it was kind of shocking to a lot that there would be this many people here when Galaxy's Edge opened. There was nothing going on. I found an article last week. New Star Wars ride opening at Disneyland as park offers new SoCal resident discounts. This is not something that ever happens in the opening of a ride. This is something very rare and very strange. That's why it kind of caught my attention. The Disneyland Resort just launched a special deal ahead of opening one of the biggest attractions in history, the new Rise of the Resistance ride at Star Wars Galaxy's Edge. Starting today, our SoCal residents have a chance to come visit us here at Disneyland Resort for as low as $67 per day with the purchase of a 3-day, 1-park-per-day ticket. That means you can buy a 3-day ticket and it comes out as low as $67 per. That is insanely low priced, unless you're getting some kind of crazy deal from somewhere else. That is really low to go visit Disneyland for a day. And unless you're literally looking at annual park holder or something, that's a better deal, day for day. But still, that's insane. The same deal is available for people outside SoCal, but for kids ages 3 to 9, with a savings of about $100 per person. And it's something Disneyland expert and author David Koenig was surprised to hear. This is normally the time where Disney announces price hikes. So everyone for the last week or so is going, okay, here goes the big price increase. And instead a sale drops in our laps, which is fantastic because this is a terrific time and a great time to visit Disneyland, a week away from one of the biggest rides they'll ever open. So it's very interesting that they felt, due to the opening of Galaxy's Edge, they needed to offer not only normal rates, but huge discounted rates. Discounted rates, the likes that a lot of people that go to Disney World all the time have not ever seen. That's kind of unheard of. And you end up with this mass of people there. Now, this mass of people who didn't realize that the fact that they waited in line didn't matter. They didn't realize they had to use this online queue. So you could get there at 7:45, you could get there at midnight. It doesn't matter. There's no line when you're opening up a phone. So you wait. You see if you get a chance. If you get turned away, then you get turned away and you're just screwed, which is unfortunate. Like I said, it doesn't matter how long you wait in line. There's no advantage to going early. There's no real advantage to going and waiting at Disneyland. The ride broke down at 9:55 a.m., 2 hours in. And again, this is something extremely common that's been happening with the Galaxy's Edge ride in Disney World. Now, rides break down. We know that happens. But at Disney World, it's multiple times every day. And unfortunately, with this queue status, it really screws things up. It's not people waiting in line. It's people that have been told, well, here's your queue. You just have to come back here whenever we give you a warning. And then you can ride, which could be hours. It could be never. They could not get to you through the end of the day. So you're constantly planning your day around being in this queue. It's just kind of a mess for people that actually want to have any sort of semblance of a plan going through their Disney World or Disneyland trip. So the attraction broke down at 9:55. Kinds of technical issues that have bedeviled this version's ride at Disney's Hollywood Studios in Orlando since it opened there on December 5th. Riders were evacuated after a holographic ray failed to appear. The disappointment they must have had. The Resistance transport ship also appeared to be down. After about an hour, it got fixed. Then again, about 3 hours later at 2:30 p.m., cast members told visitors it would likely take up to 60 to 90 minutes to reopen. So all these people who have been waiting there, still just sitting there meandering around, waiting for their boarding pass to be called. A lot of them were just shit out of luck, unfortunately. And here's somebody that was a little disappointed. We arrived at 6 a.m., waited for the rope to drop, waited for the app to allow our boarding group. The system froze me out for 5 minutes and bumped me out. We got group 124 and I'm told we likely won't be able to ride today. So basically none of these standby boarding groups went. That's also what they're saying. Here's a list of all of the things that were going wrong in the grand opening. The Kylo Ren audio animatronic on the Star Destroyer bridge was not operating. Rebel Heroes Finn's instructions to recruits didn't play. Issues with the Dark Ride vehicle doors not registering as closed slowed down vehicle loading. Another Kylo animatronic that uses the Force on ride vehicles was also not working, triggering a B-mode employee. So now it's so common that these rides are malfunctioning that they have a B mode. They have like a backup mode. So people just sit there and watch the Kylo animatronic that's basically going to fail, and then they just have an employee come out and do something else. That's like their job. But, luckily for the people that are there to consume Disney Star Wars, most fans didn't notice, and riders cheered at every step of the new 20-minute experience. It is a very long ride. And one of the things that's very interesting will be down here. Most fans didn't notice. Risers and cast troopers Disney speak for employees dived into their roles as First Order officers and Resistance troops. And I have heard when the ride goes well, it can be fairly entertaining. Maybe not the best ride in history, but an entertaining one. And 20 minutes long is extremely long for a ride. Even these kind of things where you go from set to set playing videos and instructions, that's a long time, 20 minutes. Here's someone that says it was worth standing in the rain since 3 a.m. I'm glad you liked it, Ross. And then despite the morning rush, crowds remained modest by Disneyland standards. By mid-afternoon, the wait time for Millennium Falcon Smuggler's Run was 35 minutes, while the lines for Star Tours and Space Mountain were each 40 minutes. That is not a lot of time, like they said, for Disneyland. So Galaxy's Edge is very much a phenomenon that, you have to wait that long. And it's kind of artificial because it's 20 minutes long and they can only get 100 groups through a day, basically, if everything goes right. So just kind of a little bit of, I don't know, unexpected crowds. We didn't really expect that many. Like I said, I really do think this had a huge part to do with it. So many people are SoCal residents taking advantage of this, which is unheard of. So I have no interest. I stay away from Disneyland in principle because I'm not really a big theme park guy. I have no interest in going to Galaxy's Edge because it's basically just a shopping mall for sequel trilogy stuff. And that's just not for me. So we'll see how it goes if these kind of crowds continue, if it is a resident geared thing, or what's going on. And maybe they can get through a couple days without having any major breakdowns and delaying people this much. People that are coming just to see this, so that they can actually, you know, have a good experience there at Disneyland. But let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Do you think this is ever going to get really better? It hasn't seemed to get better in the past, you know, couple weeks and months at Disney World. Are they just going to keep this as status quo? Did they rush this ride out and they're just going to kind of live with it forever? What do you guys think? Let me know. Make sure you smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, share this video out there, ring the bell for notifications, and I'll talk to you guys later. Thanks for watching, everyone, and a huge shout out to my patrons. I appreciate you guys so much. Want to follow me on Twitter or Instagram? Check out the description below. You'll find links to my P.O. box and my Patreon as well. And I'll talk to you guys later.